Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Harakakadash, dominance to the apostles and elders, great male son of Ruwan, Shalom to the brothers in the wax, sincerity, truth. Saw this article and it's telling of the times and kind of the mindset of people that's really, I'll say like post 2020, gone way more mainstream. To where, discussions of really things that are biblical prophecy have gone mainstream. And, well, whether people know it or not, but those are like the topics we're dealing with, what's written in the scriptures, which, this article goes into. Some study finds. I'll read it a bit first. It says, Apocalypse goes mainstream. The end of the world is becoming normal conversation. And yeah, even if you go back, I remember like the 2010s would come up. I remember that fucking geezer that was like, oh, on May 11th, 2011 or something, it will be the end. And it was kind of, those guys were going off the Mayan long count calendar, which that's those, the Jakes will put that together. And then it's what you call it, with the long count. Everyone was saying like, yeah, 2012. It's gonna be that year, which, well, as far as we know, according to the scriptures, no one knows the day. So that Wally saying like, oh yeah, it's gonna be this day. Then he switched it up and made it like September 11th or something, or later in the year, or October, I can't remember. And then afterwards, he's disappeared, never to be heard from again. But these like maybe once in a while, but now it is, like it said, just become normal conversation to where people are, well, even with what's going on in the Middle East, it's World War III with Russia's conflict in Ukraine, that brought World War III to the front, and that's prophecy again. So these things are become a focus to where it's just the standard. The exponential growth of artificial intelligence over the past year has sparked discussions about whether the era of human domination of our planet is drawing to a close. The most dire predictions claim that the machines will take over within 5 to 10 years. Fears of AI are not the only thing driving public concern about the end of the world. Climate change and pandemic diseases are also well-known threats. Reporting on these challenges and dubbing them a potential apocalypse has become common in the media. So common, in fact, that it might go unnoticed or may simply be written off as hyperbole. Is the use of the word apocalypse in the media significant? Our common interest in how the American public understands apocalyptic threats is funny. It's America focused as well, but then America's that spot where a lot of these prophecies are going to take place, the key ones, and then that's the spot that's going to get hit, man. It's going to get taken out. It's going to get done at. Scholar of the ancient world. Okay. One of us is a scholar of the apocalypse in the ancient world, and the other studies press coverage of contemporary concerns. It's funny because, to dissect what's going down, you would need both these disciplines. You'd need to know the ancient world, the prophecies of how the end's gonna come from, from the scriptures, from the ancient world, essentially. And then you'd have to be able to line it up with what's going on now, which is funny, they say that, but then that's again where what prophecy is key, because what does it say? By tracing what events the media describe as apocalyptic, we can gain insight into our changing fears about potential catastrophes. We found the discussions of the apocalypse unite the ancient and modern, the religious and secular, and the revelatory and rational. Well, yeah, it's something that's so overwhelmed that it's like now it needs to be addressed. This the thing is now it's close. Now it's at the door. Now it's where people can't, just kind of shy away from it, pretend it ain't happened. It was the same thing during the height of the Cold War, like when it was the Bay of Pigs, the Cuban Missile Crisis. When these events were going on, then everyone was thinking like, "Yo, America's this is gonna be it. The nukes are gonna fly, and we're done out here." Because why? Because it was close at those times. But then, for then, obviously, it wasn't the time of the end. There wasn't. It was the mark wasn't about them times. Uh, the MOTB. There was prophecies that yet needed to be fulfilled. Jake needed to be roused, man. Like the elect need to be woken up. So it's prophecy is why. It's basically, why the wind's being held back. What until the servants of Yahweh Hashem Kakadash are sealed in their foreheads. That's what it's waiting on. It's waiting for the sake of prophecy, for what's been promised, man. And how it's gonna go down. Says they show how a term with roots in classical Greece and early Christianity helps us articulate our deepest anxieties today. Well, yeah, why early Christianity is obviously going to go into the scriptures, and why is that? Because that's where it all goes back to. They ain't talking about. Imagine there's countless religious texts. I'm not talking about no whatever what these guys called, man. These Buddhists be messing with. They ain't talking about no Vedas. They ain't talking about no Quran. They ain't talking about they're not going to these other sources. They're dealing with the scriptures when it comes to the end time prophecies. Because we would say, what's an apocalypse? Humans have been fascinated by the demise of the world since ancient times. However, the word apocalypse was not intended to convey this preoccupation. In Greek, the verb apocalyptine originally simply meant to uncover, to reveal. In his dialogue Protagoras, Plato used it. Then what does it say? New Testament authors use the noun apocalypsis to refer to revelation, what it says of God's divine plan for the world. In the original Koine Greek version, apocalypsis is the first word of the book of Revelation. So yeah, that goes back to the scriptures. That's why it's being discussed. That's why it's being spoken of. That's why it's relevant, because there's things discussed in the scriptures which now we're seeing. And that's the thing is with the MOTV's the hot one, because I remember during what you had like it's you had implantable CHIPs mentioned for decades prior even, but then it was what 2020, as you had the pandemic, you had the lockdown, and then you had systems set up, setting a framework which you could easily just put that MOTB on top, man, a micro CHIP on top, to where it then would be like, okay, so we see how this is coming together now. And you've had it just more and more prominent to where it was common. People saying, oh, they're putting, people making a joke of it, like, oh, they're putting 5G micro CHIPs and blah 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 into the fit, as a joke. But it's regardless, it's prominent to where it's these things are still discussed. And this is the thing as well, is with what do you call it? It was wearing down as well, because I remember where initially people were like, yo, how are these men gonna have the thing ready? Like, and it's only been, this thing came out like 6 months ago, and it's meant to be like 3 years. But then it's like, oh, and then people weren't getting the juice, the jump shot. Then they'll be like, oh, what, like, what were you scared of? No, that's just thingy. It's like, oh, you one of them conspiracy man or something, like, it's, but then it's and now you go down the line, it's like, oh yeah, there were definitely dangers tied to it. It wasn't as safe as it was said to be, even though, but you know, point I'm making is over time, they shift the goalposts to where initially it's just like, oh, there's no way that can happen. To, well, you know, even if, well, it's not, yeah, it's for your safety, it's just for whatever, man. Just, you know, just do the thing. And then it gets down to, you know, down the line where they're just like, well, even, you know, that people don't even pay attention to the fullness of it. They're just like, well, I just did it and that. Like, yeah, you just had to do it. Which, but then and that's the thing is you can basically see in that how, you know, the MOTB is gonna be pushed, man, out of temptation. It was like the hardships being felt during when the lockdown happened ain't even on the same scale as what's been described in the scriptures. But then people folded then, so how much more so when, you know, all hell's breaking loose, when, you know, their families, you know, they're struggling to eat, they're struggling to provide for their family. There's all kinds of things they want to do. It's gonna get peaked. But these things are being discussed because why as well? Whilst that's happening, what we're seeing World War III, we're seeing issues with inflation, the monetary system. There's been all kinds of issues. You got housing crisis, you had energy crisis. The thing is people are talking like these things. Well, they're no longer headline bringing issues, but people living their lives are still in like having to deal with them things. Like that shit is still an issue, which shouldn't even be a mystery, really. It should be a mystery. As to why, because that's affecting their life. And the thing is all these things combining together. One is you go to prior civilizations and you see that's how they met their end, and two is prophecies, man. And you got people going into these things on a regular basis. Chiefly, you know, brothers of GMS, man. Because this is what, okay, the apocalypse in the contemporary world. This is many American Christians. I mean, it's whatever. Many, even, you know, for these churchgoers, for these Christians, it says what today feels. Today feel that the day of God's judgment is just around the corner. In December 2020, Pew Research said 39% of those polled believe they are living in those end times, while 10% that Jesus will definitely or probably return in a lifetime. So yeah, these guys aren't even aware of you know how close it is. Like very few are seeing it as like, yeah, this is it's on the cusp. But that's more just a hope, because you know, the mindset of people in this world is they just wanna, you know, just do their thing and continue and just live just let man be in that. But then what does it say? Yet for some believers, the Christian apocalypse is not viewed entirely negatively. Rather, it is a moment that will elevate the righteous and cleanse the world of sinners. Secular understandings of the word, by contrast, rarely include this redeeming element. An apocalypse is commonly understood as a catastrophic event that will irreparably alter our world for the worse. Is something to avoid, not to await. Yes, because people, well, yeah, for Esau's world, oh yeah, for Esau's world, hell yeah, yes, it's gonna be irreparably altered, man. It's gonna be catastrophic. But then that's the thing is it depends where, you know, where your treasure's being built. The vast majority of the world is building on the foundation of Esau's rod. So as this place goes, they're just like, no, but what can I do? No, but there'll be nothing. It's like, without this, won't be nothing. Is the mindset that they have as well. So then, you know, for you, that's the thing is what's to come. Is it goes far above and beyond what you know what we got here now. But then that's the thing and that's why it's these things are being discussed, because these guys are feeling anxious, man. They're feeling hot, and they're just like, damn. It's like, yo, I've been trying to ignore it, but it's just like there's been so much. And it's funny because like I was watching a video I watched before, just going into like the 2008, the financial crisis, and how fucked it was there. I was thinking, I was like, bro, it's like it's on a level where I remember Greece, bro. Greece was fucking toast, bro. Greece, them niggas they had no money. There was no jobs. There was no nothing. The government was done out. Like if the EU didn't come, to help them out, there would be nothing there. They might would have rioted, killed everyone up, and it would have been the Wild West out there. Those countries where they'll be in completely fucking absolutely done out. And then it was like a bunch of people where it's like, yo, you weren't even able to work, you weren't able to make no money, you might have just barely been scraping by. But then it was fucked. Like people were all kinds of legendarily through. They would have been like, oh, the whole life, might have got their house, might have thought they were in good case. Then they were just like, damn, wait, nah, it's fuck, bro. It's legendary. Like to the point where it's still impacting now, but then it's something that for the younger generation they might not even be aware of the scale to which that went, and then people now are just trying to not have to interact with or interface with these things. But then that's the thing is that came like the fucking drop of a hat. That shit came out of nowhere for a lot of people. But then that's the thing is people they put those thoughts far away. They think like, no, it's gonna how could it thingy? But hey, it's gonna be immense, man. It's gonna be legendary. For these people, it's gonna be peak. Cause why? They're trying to stay away from it, but I can't even. It's done, man. So what verse 3, Matthew 24:3, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Yeah, the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world. These are things that have been spoken of, have been talked of. Even this is the New Testament. You go back to the Old Testament, there's prophecies from there that's still waiting to be fulfilled. That's the thing is, this is it's been discussed in the scriptures, and that's the thing is impacting the world now. Because why? To an extent further than before, people are seeing these things in living color. People are seeing like, yo, is society really gonna be all right? Like you got this week, you had people losing their minds writing in like university campuses in the US over what's going on in the Middle East. That whole situation is so drawn out. This society, people are like, damn, is this is this really gonna have that glow? But then that's how these global events go down. To where like the when you do World War One, World War Two, the inciting incidents are not seen as like, okay, now everyone knew the war started. Like when Poland was invaded by the fuck is that guy called? By Hitler. When Poland was invaded by Hitler, people thought it was just they thought it'd stop there, but then it progressed and it grew in scope and scale, and it drew in everything around, and then you had it hit that level of conflict. Same with the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. When it was done out, it was like, okay, conflict started, but then they thought it'd just be like any other conflict. But then what? They've been drawn into that greater conflict, man. That first war, that second war. Now we've got the third war, where we've got these incidents. We've got these back and forths happening. We've got these back and forths happening between these nations that people are just kind of like, oh, it's not. But hey, these things are now heralding a specific, event to take place, and a certain level of judgment, man. Which means it's only gonna get worse, and people can feel it. Because why? It's things are meant to be good. Things are meant to it's meant to all be like, okay, yeah, we nice the thing, blah blah. Nah, but now what? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And yeah, these are signs of what's to come, but then it says what the end's not yet. There's further, perils, further bad times, evils to come, like hardships, rawness to come, and then the peak of that is what? Time of Jacob's trouble, man. That time of tribulation. When was it say? Joel 2:28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I'll pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Okay. Pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions, and also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. So yeah, even people being shown, visions and dreams. And it's funny because it's spoken to people where it's like they mention like, yeah, the dream of this, and I'm hearing, I'm like, you know what, that's something spiritual, because I'm like, yo, they're talking about, a lot of them are talking about, they feel like, oh, it's post-apocalyptic and blah blah blah, and I'm like, damn, and it's like, oh yeah, and you were there doing this, and I was like, okay, so hey, you given a vision, it may or may not come to pass, but then it's indicative of the time and the mindset, and it's putting something in their spirit to where they're like, damn, it gives them a conviction, man, and they're just like, yo, they feel like, damn, it just felt so real in that. But then that's how Yahweh Shem Yahushua gets down, man. That spirit was gonna be poured out, and then that's the thing, is these things are gonna come to pass from Enoch. Going back, right to the start of Genesis, Enoch was prophesying of what's to come, things that have yet to come to pass. Like that's how long and how much has been built up. This is on a whole different scale. Just like with Yahushua coming on the scene, that was something that was of a legendary magnitude, and what Yahushua came to accomplish was of the utmost significance. To where it's even imagine, even in Esau's world, now it's time is still measured by, when Yahushua came on the scene, which is that's wild still, but that's that's the level and significance of it. This is what, and I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord Yahweh come. And yeah, that's, signs going to be shown. And then what? Before the great and terrible day, there's, there's that legendary day still there to come, man. And that's the thing, is we've, now we're basically anticipating it. We know, we're seeing the signs. Those that understand the scriptures can see the signs, and then we're aware, like, okay, this is what's coming, and it's just what, on the magnitude to where those signs, and the thing is as well, is those signs are like essentially like the current society being on its deathbed, man, being in its death throes, circling the drain, which is why everyone's kind of looking at this like, damn, like, what's going on here? But then what does it say? 2 Peter 3:10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Yeah, so with the day of the Lord, that's it's gonna be immense. It's gonna be legendary. It's gonna be hell of fire. And then what does it say? Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hasten unto the coming of the day of the Lord, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements that melt shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for a new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. And yeah, that's what, they're talking about the Christians, but when with those that are aware of the prophecies, then we know what's to come, that new heavens, that new earth, that lies righteousness, that lies order. That's basically going to clean up all the filth that currently now runs and is basically as a baseline, is normalcy for society. Those things are all going to be done away with, just as you had like with the flood in the time of Noah, where you had all kinds of madness going on. Then water was used as a cleansing agent, to remove all that. Now we're in a time where fire is going to be used. You're going to have fire take out America. And then, as far as, for the rest of the world, they're gonna basically have, you know, whether they like or not, to deal with that new kingdom, man, that's gonna come in. Esau shit's gonna be done away with, man. That's gonna be put to an end. There ain't gonna be no they gonna be like 1984 or whatever, like where there's a continuation. Is they'll be able to have like a little something, a rebuild in the Americas. The Americas gonna be uninhabited. America's gonna be uninhabited, and then out in these other nations, it's all gonna be the kingdom. Yahushua is gonna have his rule, man. He's gonna have his kingdom, and that's what's being established, and that's what we are invested in. That's what we're looking to. That's what we're holding to. Which is why for us, it's good news. It's the gospel, but then it's to the people in the world where it's something that they're like anxious and like, damn, like, but what if? Oh no, if they're right. Because what Amos 5:18, it says, "Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord Yahweh. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord Yahweh is darkness and not light. As if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him. Shall not the day of the Lord Yahweh be darkness and not light, even very dark, and no brightness in it?" And yeah, it's going to be dark as hell, because why? This place is basically going to be put to its end. And these are the things where it's like people are talking about apocalypse. They're just thinking like, oh no, but then, hey, that's necessary. Why? Because this place is dark, man. It needs to be cleansed. It needs to be scoured. And how are you gonna build up a new kingdom? How are you gonna build up a new kingdom? And then the prior one is just knocking about. You're just gonna have like the remnants of certain states in the U.S. just kind of there doing their own thing. But then we're dealing with the kingdom. That of course not. It needs to be scoured, man. Just as now you don't have man in Babylon, still dealing with Nebuchadnezzar's legacy and whatnot, Belshazzar and that. You don't have what do you call it? All these prior empires just kind of ruling. These Greeks, like I said, them Greeks were during the financial crash. They were toast because why? They were part of that global financial system, and they were part of basically embedded within the structure of this current rulership. They ain't out there just ruling as they did thousands of years ago. Those kingdoms have all been done out. No one's talking about the Ptolemaic lines or the Seleucid lines, like in the modern day. Not them men not holding no power. There's new systems now within this current system, and those things are gonna be put to an end, and then not they're gonna hold no weight, no power, no influence, because why? It's basically gonna be inconsequential, and we're gonna be in the kingdom. The kingdom's gonna be established. That's what men are gonna be dealing with. Finish on this. Jeremiah 51:6. It says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord Yahweh's vengeance. You will render unto her a recompense. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad." Yeah. Everyone's underneath that wine. That's basically become the baseline. That whole system that's been established, that's how people are just dealing with the world now. They said what? Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she's not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country, for a judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. And yeah, that's where it's basically going to be seen as. It's like, yo, they're really trying to heal Babylon. As far as it is for now, it's basically been cracking at the seams, busting at the seams as far as society, trying to, maintain its structure and systems. That shit's done. But then what? It's gonna become evident. It ain't gonna be done, man. The American dream is truly dead. And then they're gonna skedaddle, they're gonna depart, or they're, gonna cling to Esau, with all the love in their heart and be like, please. But, ain't gonna work out like that. It's already been set. It's role to play. And we're seeing it manifest. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Shalom.